Hey everybody, this is Mickey G. In this edition, Rodney and I continue our talks about the aches and pains of getting old in something we call the Cortisone Chronicles. Well, we hope you enjoy this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School.
Well, I'm about to go out there and let them take a look at it and see what they think. But I mean, yeah, sometimes it'll just lock. And I'm like, okay, it'll pop back in. No, It ain't popping back in now. I gotta move it myself.
And then it starts to hurt when you start doing that.
Yeah. And it hurts all the way down at the base of my finger, where it goes into your hand.
Yeah.
It hurts all the way down there, but it locks on that, second joint of my finger. And I'm like, well,
That's it.
It would be hurting at that joint, but it hurts all the way down at the base.
Yeah, because that's where they're going to shoot the cortisone in, right there at the base. And the one time, because I don't know how I ended up, but it was a civilian doctor some way out on the northwest side. I think they were just wanting to charge TRICARE or something. I mean, they did it up. They had took me in the surgery suite and put my hand over there, and doctored it all up. And they went in and claimed that they snipped some nerve, which I don't, not nerve, but ligament that they say tightens up over years. It'll tighten up, and that's what causes the finger to do that. And they did that little theatrical thing. And all the times I've had problems since then, all they've ever done was shoot me with cortisone, and it lasts, and then it'll pop up again. I think the guy said it was a year from the last time I was in there. But the thing of it is, it moves. It'll be this finger this time, and then it'll be that finger. The next time I don't have the two middle fingers are the ones that really is where it's happened, and I thought it was mainly because I had that crush injury there, but then it happened on my other hand. I was like, damn, what's wrong? I guess I must have used them quite a bit, doing all that yard work for so many years, but I ain't doing nothing now, and they still did it. So I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the way with mine. Mine's just my pinky finger. And I'm thinking, well, what do you do or have you done over the last few years that primarily involves your pinky finger? And I'm like, I can't think of anything that you do, but it's just right now, I should say, it's just that one that's doing it. It's just the one on my left hand. But it's, like I say, it does that. And I'm like, why is it sore at the base? And like you say, that's probably the reason. I probably need to go out there and let them take a look at it. I know that's probably what they're going to want to do. And if they shoot all that freezing stuff on it and all and stuff, it ain't so bad. But that last time that doctor didn't do that on my elbow, like I say, I wanted to take that damn stethoscope and choke his ass out. That hurt. I mean, that hurt. And he had a resident in there with him too. So he's trying to show him all this kind of stuff while he's running that needle up and down and all around. I'm like, no, okay, he gonna put all that freezing stuff. Next thing I know, that needle's in my elbow. I know McKissick. I know his name. I said, I don't. Last time I called out there to the appointment, I said, we can get you with Doctor. No, I don't want to go in with him. Give me somebody else.
Yes, sir. Well, that's what they did to me that last time. I think the free hurt more than the shot did.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was like, damn, because he was spraying it on there, or his nurse was spraying it on there. It got so cold, man. I was like, damn. And he's like, okay, now you might feel a little prick. I said, oh, I thought you was done. He's like, no, we were just freezing it up there. I'm like, oh, okay. And I felt just a little stick. It wasn't up hell. Like I said, the freezing was worse than the shot was.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always had this thought, because I had, so I got my first cortisone shot. I didn't know. I always thought cortisone was like an anesthetic. They shoot the cortisone in. You had all immediate symptom relief and you just didn't feel anything. Cause you hear about these sports players like, yeah, you had to get a cortisone shot in his knee. I'm thinking, well, it must have sort of numbed it a little bit so they can go out there and play and stuff. And the first time I got one, that was one in my shoulder. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking, this is hurting worse now than it was before I went in. And it felt that sort of lump in my shoulder and stuff. And
Yeah.
she said, but the doctor told me, it's gonna probably hurt for a little bit, and then as it gets into the joint and everything, it'll start to get better. And I like I say, I just thought it was like an anesthetic shot. I didn't realize that it didn't immediately sort of numb the area.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, my first cortisone shot, it was in my knee, I think it was. And I think this dude, I don't know what the hell he did, but he had one of them large gauge needles, where a bunch of it could come out. And that hurt so bad. So from that point on, I was like, I ain't taking no cortisone shot. As a matter of fact, this one Indian doctor at the VA, we were talking. I had been listening to him talk to another patient. I said, this sucker talk to me like that, we're going to have some words. And so we got in there and he goes, well, I think we can do cortisone. I said, no, I don't think I want cortisone shot in there. I've had that before, and that's not a pleasant thing. And so we're bantering back and forth. And then he says, well, since you're afraid of cortisone, I said, wait, hold up, Hoss. So I ain't afraid of a damn thing. Try since you're afraid. I'm like, hell no. I'm just telling you what I'm not going to do. I got pissed off at that dude because I had attitude with him before I walked in there because he talked to a woman in there like a dog, a veteran, And I said, this sucker start talking to me like that, it's going to be some words traded. So I already had my guard up. And ain't talking about since you're afraid. Go back and read your bedside manner book again. And I forget what I may have opted out for something else, but I didn't take that shot. So my whole first experience with cortisone, I'm thinking it's going to be hurting and they're going to use that big old ass gauge knee. Well, when they shot me in my shoulder, I barely felt it. The doctor said,
Really?
okay. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out what he was doing because my shoulder hurts like, it feels like where the ball is in that joint, But he was behind me and he shot it in the back of my shoulder up there. And when he was done, he was putting a Band-Aid on. I said, oh, that's it? He's like, yeah. Matter of fact, I'm going on December 1st to let them look at it again because it's starting to bother me again big time. And I went to physical therapy. They did a little work on it that made it feel better, but my actual shoulder is still bothering the hell out of me. He gave me all these creams and stuff I used for a while, and for the longest time, Aleve or Tylenol would relieve the pain, and but it would always come back, and it got to the point where when I went to sleep and I slept in one position, and I woke up that morning, it was killing me. I had to move around, and once I got to moving around, then it felt better, but now it's just bothering me, period, and funny thing, we went to Sam's the other day to stock up on our water. And Rosalind was like, you need to leave this stuff in the truck and let the boys bring it in when they come over. I was like, no, I can get it in there. I get it in there and deal with it. And she's like, the more I use it, the better it feels. But the minute I get still, that sucker gets stiff and it hurts and it goes down my arm almost to my elbow. So I'm going to let them do another x-ray. It's been a while. To see if they can tell me something, man. So, and that useless. He sent me a text. The VA can see you earlier. By the time I get in touch with him, it's already been filled. I'm like, stop sending me them. I got one the other day. I just ignored it. I'm like, hell, I ain't gonna be busting my call down there. But then they tell me we've already filled it. So.
Yeah, that's the way it was with me. I went down there. My uncle was supposed to have his telemedicine appointment last week at 8 o'clock. I went down there and went into his room and woke him up, said, hey, they're going to be calling us and talking to him. And really, like I say, he really can't speak. They just asked if he's there. And I said, yeah. And they said, can he say anything to us? And I'll say something to him. So they want you to say something to him. And, he might say, I'm like, well, something like that.
Right.
And they say, okay, that's good enough. And I'm sitting, I'm waiting. I give them about 5 minutes. I call over there and they said, somebody canceled that appointment back in July.
Yeah.
I said, I know it wasn't me. And my uncle damn sure can't cancel the appointment. And they went in and looked, said, oh, was someone down at the veterans home where he's at cancel the appointment? I said, how can they cancel his appointment? Well, I guess somehow when he gets there at the state VA home, they coordinate all the appointments coming in through the VA, federal VA. And I guess they canceled that appointment and said, they're sort of taking care of him now. And I said, well, it'd been nice for somebody. I said, I'm not saying, it's y'all's fault or anything like that. I said, but it'd been nice for somebody to let me know. Cause here I am down here 8 o'clock in the morning, waking my uncle up trying to do this thing. And he ain't even got an appointment, So yeah, I had to go through that with him,
Yeah.
But,
yeah. As a matter of fact, they did me the same way. I was supposed to have a telemed appointment after they gave me this cortisone shot, and the doctor wanted to talk to me. We set it up before I left, all that good stuff. So here I am down there. Well, then they called me and changed it. Okay. So I said, okay. So I'm down there ready for it, and then nobody ever called. So I called back down. And no, I didn't call back down. I said, well, the hell with it. They didn't call. So then about a month later, this woman called me from the VA saying, hey, Mr. Turner, we want to set up another telemed appointment with this doctor, with this brother, right? I said, well, the last time you did it, I said, you guys never called. And I said, I was sitting here waiting. And then she goes, well, hold on a second. She put me on hold. I guess she got with somebody, they concocted a story. She goes, well, what happened was he moved back downtown to the VA. He was just out here temporarily. And somehow the systems never crossed paths to let us know, to let you know. I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah. I said, I didn't even say anything to him. I just like, okay. I mean, if you good, you can come up with something on that short notice. That's well, he moved back downtown, and our systems are not such that we know, because we should have been flagged to call you. I'm like, you called me to change it, but you didn't call me to tell me that he had moved downtown. But even if he had moved downtown, that was the time that he moved downtown. I'm like, hell, if he moved downtown, they got phones down there. He could have called. Somebody could have called, but I just let it go. Like, fine, whatever. So,
yeah, but that when they canceled one of my appointments, I called down. I get the little card in the mail. We've canceled your appointment. Call this number to reschedule. So I called down to reschedule, and my appointment was on October the 16th or something like that. So I called down there and I said, I need to reschedule my appointment that I had on the 16th that y'all canceled. She said, okay. She said, well, what's better for you, morning or afternoon or whatever? I said, well, really, I'm pretty flexible. Just, whenever you have the earliest appointment. She said, oh, okay, we've got something open on the 13th. I'm like, wait a minute, you canceled my 16th appointment, but you got something open on the 13th, and and back, in the military day, of course, I know that's comparing apples to oranges and stuff, but we canceled an appointment, we'd look and see, we'd have to make a list so that we get somebody that canceled or appointment before we call you up and say, hey, we canceled that one, but hey, somebody else just canceled, we can get you in, that kind of thing. Obviously, they don't do that. They don't call you and say, hey, we've got an opening, we can get you in earlier. So, yeah, she said, we can get you on the 13th. I said, you cancel the 16th, but you can get me in on 13th.
Hey,
okay, I'll take that.
Yeah. It's amazing, man. So that's why I talked to a few people while we standing in line waiting on prescriptions. Like, what's taking so damn long? It's just like Walmart. They got 6 windows up there, and they'll only have 2 working. Line out the damn door almost. and, and, and so at first I used to get kind of ticked off about it, and then especially when active duty came in there, they get to go up front. I was like, nah, I was in the military all them years. We never did like that, even though we could have, I guess.
Right.
But now it's a concerted effort for them in the window. Active duty? They're just like, the hell with the rest of y'all. I said, well, I guess I'm in the hell with the rest of y'all pack, so I ain't got to unask a whole bunch of money. I guess I got time to stand here. And go that route. But yeah, man, it's ain't no need to complain about it, because again, I ain't got to pay them crazy ass prices that we got to pay outside.
Yeah, that's one thing. I've been hearing all them stories about the shutdown and the Affordable Care Act subsidies and all that kind of things, and insurance prices are going to triple in some cases and all that kind of stuff. And I said the same thing. I said it's nice to be in a situation where I mean, I don't have a active duty military place to go to, but still, you really still can't complain about the premiums that you pay. And with TRICARE for life and Medicare now, it's pretty much free. And like I say, if I want to go to VA, it is free. It's just a matter of where I'll go. But yeah, I thought I was hearing those things, and I'm like, well, at least that's one thing that some of us ain't got to worry so much about.
I'm telling you, we talked about that driving back home too, because the mother had an appointment while we were there, and all the stuff that they go through. And I'm like, man, even though she's so old and Medicare and all that kick in, she ain't really got to pay nothing, but just we trip on now how you used to get an appointment. Now your appointment is going to be 90 days out. We can see you in December. Well, this is October.
I'm glad I'm not ready to die, because I mean, I got in.
Yeah.
But see, that's why so many people, abuse the ER system. They can't get in for a couple of months, so they go to the ER. And get seen the same day, kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
That's the reasons how so many people do. But I must admit, they've got a lot more walk-in urgent care and those kind of clinics, and even the one that we primarily go to, they've got 2 or 3. Got one right up the road. And there's times that I'll go up there. Matter of fact, I went up there the other week, and it's the first thing I said to myself as I walked out the door, saying, "Now, why not go down to the VA? I could just walked in down there and got the same thing,
Yeah.
But at least they've got those places going, so you ain't gotta depend on the ER so much as you used to. And but yeah, that's why so many people do that. They can't get in for months at a time, so they go to the emergency room.
Yeah, and that's and them urgent care clinics, they loving it too, because they in cahoots. They got it with Medicare, with TRICARE. Because I went down to one. They done messed around and built one a block from me. hadn't been in there yet. I go to one that's a little further down, but I only go in there when it's really an emergency, or with this COVID thing, when all that came down. That's where we went to get tested,
Right.
When somebody was sick and stuff. But that's really the only time I use it for urgent care. But other than that, I usually wait on my appointments and all that. But boy, I'm like, is that the earliest you got? yeah, Mr. Sanders, that's the earliest we got. But it's kind of like that situation with you. I bet if I called in there later on, you said, well, yeah, we can see you next week.
Yeah. And that's a thing that, that bothers me a few times when I've called and I've been rescheduled and it's going to be a month out and stuff. And I say, well, this has nothing to do with me. I did nothing wrong, but here y'all cancel my appointment. I've got to wait forever. And I said, do y'all have a callback system or waiting list? Oh, no. But you can call back. And I was like, well, I got better things to do during my day than call the damn VA to see if you got an appointment. But yeah, you can call every day if you want to. We've got something available. I said, well, maybe there's people that ain't got nothing better to do in their day to call down and see if they got an appointment. But I've got other things that I can do, But like you say, when you walk out the door and you ain't paid a dime, you sort of temper yourself a little bit and say, well, it could be so much work. I could be waiting 2 months and have a $300 or $400 bill, for it. So I always keep that in my mind.
Yeah. And really didn't have a concern unless this fool had really tried to do something stupid when all that he was doing during the shutdown, none of it was affecting me and us who were in that same boat, but it always could have. I kept that in the back of my mind because this sucker, man, he'll do some of everything. You ever seen somebody ask him, where you going to get this $2,000 that you're going to send to every American? I don't know. We'll find it somewhere. I'm like, what is that? He is something else, man.
Yeah, I tell you. And, I was saying the same thing. You mess around with some of these veterans benefits and stuff. You got some people out there that's just about a millimeter away from being over the edge already.
I said, know it.
There's one group there's one group you probably don't want to mess with as a veteran.
Yes,
a lot of them guys, they've been over there being shot at. They could care less.
They're well trained.
Yeah, I said they could care less. So I said, yeah, you better not do that. But to me, it shows his lack of respect for the military, the civilian. I see where that black admiral resigned down there. It's over that with South America and that part of the country because of these blowing up these boats and talking about she put that aircraft carrier down there and stuff. So he resigned.
Yeah, brother resigned. I don't blame him because it's gonna be some war crimes, brother. And that little pipsqueak Hexif, he gonna be right up in the front, his little bitch ass. But yeah, I was hoping, man. I was like, I guess I'm hoping like one of them novels. I was like, he up here got his little pipsqueak ass up here talking to these seasoned veteran generals up there who have been in more combat, period, and he up here dictating to them. Boy, I was like, I wouldn't doubt one of them suckers go off on his ass.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I said, I just wonder what they were feeling. I mean, like I said, you got the top brass, which to me I thought was the stupidest thing ever. You got all your top brass in one building.
One spot.
Somebody lob a missile in there. You take out all your top leaders. Not only that, but the enlisted leader, because they had a bunch of command chiefs and all that there with them. But I was just thinking to myself, I just wonder what they're really thinking when he's up there talking about, if you can't follow, it's time for you to get out and all this kind of stuff, I'm just wondering what a lot of them are thinking right now. And he reminds me of that kid growing up in school that, used to get his ass quick every day at school, and he got up to a point to where he, kissed enough ass and stuff that he got a good job. Now he wants to be the tough guy, because of the position that he's in. He wants to be the tough guy.
His boss.
Yeah, I said, he reminds me so much of that, and he, like you say, ain't got no kind of taste of war. Yeah, I know he was in, and I know he went over there as some kind of admin guy or supporter or something.
Every time I hear that combat, I'm like, a lot was in theater. That's the only combat that he got, and I don't know if I pissed my yard, not my yard guy, but the one that treats my yard for the moles and gophers, I said, man, I ain't trying to, I don't know if you got relatives in the Guard and Reserve. I ain't trying to put nothing against them. I said, but when they talk about the military ain't no Guard and Reserves. I said, that they were in it for that $90 a month. And and 2-week active duty BX visits. And I said, the only thing that has elevated them, I'll give them credit for that, is when they withdrew the forces down and then they created conflicts like they did. They sent Guard and Reserve units over there because they had drawn the military down. I said, but I resent when you say military and you're talking about Guard and Reserve. That's not military. Just like when these people are occupying these cities, that ain't the military doing that. That's the Guard and Reserve unit. He's just overstepping his bounds by bringing them in there. And that's no shade at the Guard and Reserves. But as you remember, I forget which conflict it was when they became conscientious objectors, don't you? Well, I ain't going with that, but that's what they're doing now.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened in Vietnam. When Vietnam kicked off, they sent a bunch of Guard and Reserve units over to Vietnam with hardly no training because they wanted to get the active duty military trained to fight that sort of jungle warfare and stuff.
Right.
And they sent them over there, and they was getting, lambasted by the North Vietnamese because they had no training in that.
Exactly.
And that's all they were. They were fill-ins, so they could get the regular troops over there to really try to fight the war. And I said, that's a situation you put yourself in too. Like you say, those guys that go in there that are there for the weekend and kicking back and, having beer parties and everything. Then all of a sudden, real war breaks out and they say, okay, you're going to deploy. And we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then you go over there. And that's the problem you run into. But yeah, I don't know. I was up there doing my little workout last night, and I turned on the new, what used to be MSNBC. I guess it's MS now.
Yeah.
And I ain't listened to any of that CNN or any of that in months. And I said, I'm just going to want to see what they're talking about, of course, with these Epstein files and all this kind of thing. And that that one guy, what's his name? Lawrence
O'Donnell. Yeah.
O'Donnell.
Yeah.
I mean, he was making it sound like, Trump had just gotten fired kind of thing. He was saying, somebody finally stood up to him and they see that they can stand up to him and he's just lost whatever he's had and stuff. And I'm like, well, I wouldn't quite go that far, I don't think.
Right.
But it'll be interesting to see because they had interviewed a couple of the ladies that were involved and stuff, and everything. And every one of them said, we're skeptical of what's really going on. That there's something going on that he goes from, no. If y'all release the files or whatever, I'm gonna fire every one of y'all kind of thing to the Republicans. To all of a sudden, yeah, I'm all for it. Let's do it. It's like something's going on. They're thinking either that provision about ongoing investigation is going to shield a lot of people, or they've already redacted so many names of probably Republicans who were going to be in there that when it is released, everybody's going to look up and say, see, I ain't on that list. I ain't on that list,
I saw something on there where they were saying 80% of that is going to be redacted. Yeah. Especially the names. But I think the only reason he did it, his ass was backed in a corner. And it's just like I was saying, with his numbers being upside down with the shutdown and all that. Now all of a sudden he's trying to take progressive route. Oh, I'm going to give you the college education. I'm going to give you $2,000. Now he's trying to buy back the vote is what he's trying to do. But he thinks the American people are stupid, and for the most part, he's right. Because he thinks he can just give them a little carrot of something, and then they'll think that he's all right. But he's with that Epstein thing. Well, he know he's safe because he's got John Roberts already said that the president is immune. Right. Can't be, but at least for 4 years, and they all speculate now. Well, he's gonna be at least 83, 84. Then they'll want to do that sympathetic thing with him. He's too old to put in jail and all that. No, his ass ain't never. As long as he's breathing, he need to be in jail.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on these days. I guess thing I say to myself is I'm just glad I'm no longer on active duty in the military. Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G.
Peace.